of all, thank you to everybody who is able to join this call for this webinar. This is actually the first of our FinTech webinar series. So many of you, I believe, attended or at least heard about our FinTech Connect event, which we held in June in Bedford, New Hampshire. First time we were doing an event like this, but the purpose of that event was really to expose our credit unions to FinTech opportunities that are available to them right now in our industry. The FinTech market obviously has taken off, for lack of a better term, in the past few years as it relates to credit unions. So we felt that event would be a great opportunity for credit unions to interact very collaboratively and in a very kind of hands-on fashion at that event. As a result, we've gotten great feedback from both credit unions and our FinTech partners. So what we had planned to do, the CCUA, is to kind of keep that going. And a lot of times at an event, it's usually a quick intro or interest is sparked through a presentation or a discussion in a quick connect session. But what we wanted to do is kind of refresh everyone on the opportunities that are out there and hopefully further some of those meaningful connections that you were all able to make with some of our partners. So without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce Marstone. So Marstone is a female-founded fintech leading in the digital wealth management space, and they've been working in this area to make investing accessible to all and essentially empowering everyone to really secure their financial future. And I believe they've been around for about 10 years now, and now really looking to kind of break into that credit union market and see a lot of alignment with Marstone's mission, which is really helping people understand and learn and kind of avoid some of the difficulties or the challenges that a lot of us face when it comes to thinking about investing. This is looking to really humanize that and break that down. So in my opinion, a fantastic fit for the credit union industry. We are joined by Margaret Hartigan, who is the CEO and founder of Marstone. And Margaret, prior to founding Marstone, has 10 years of experience as a financial advisor in global wealth management at Merrill Lynch. And Margaret has some pretty strong New England roots, I believe, with a degree from Brown, and also I think resides in Rhode Island. So great to have Margaret with us and sharing our love of New England here. We also have Ben Baker, who's the Director of Enterprise Sales at Marstone. Ben, I believe, has been with Marstone for close to 10 years, but before that started his financial career at Morgan Stanley. And I also had the great experience of golfing with Ben at one of our charity tournaments, and hopefully Ben and Margaret, we can all get out there again before the season's over. But without further ado, I want to introduce Ben and Margaret. And looking forward to hearing a little bit more about Marstone, what you're doing in the industry, and how you can work with credit unions.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Melissa. We're also joined by our colleague, Chris Murtagh, who joins us from Kuna True Stage and has a really great background with credit unions. So as Melissa said, I'm Margaret Hartigan. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Marstone. And as she said before, I got together with Ben and a group of people to start Marstone. I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. I do live in Rhode Island, and I'm actually a native of New Hampshire. And so I was really excited when we started collaborating with Melissa, because I'm looking for any excuse at any season to hit all of the New England states. So I would love to collaborate with folks. Marstone is a digital investing, financial inclusion, and wellness platform. Our mission, and we are a mission-driven company, is to demystify and humanize finance for all people. And what do we mean by that? So when I was a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch, I recognized that we had three major challenges. The first one was that most folks lack financial literacy. And this doesn't mean that they're not bright or capable. It just means a lot of people have competing interests of time. Many people actually don't have a natural affinity for math or investments. And so we took the challenge to say, how can we meet individuals where they are? And how can we take all of the learnings from Apple and other platforms and meet folks where they are and in a very intuitive way, where they could express all the things they wanted to do, including all the things they wanted to avoid, and really felt a sense of safety, recognition, and also that this was something that within their reach. The second challenge we noticed was that as far back as 2008, we started seeing this huge wealth transference that on some cases people say is up to $90 trillion. We actually started seeing money move back then, and it's increasingly been moving across generations since. And for institutions, whether it's a credit union or insurance company, or if it's for a banker or an advisor, it's really difficult to meet the needs of all members just by human contact alone. We really need technology to complement and augment our offerings. And then lastly, the younger generations are quite large. They're digitally native. They like to do a lot of personal research and compare their learnings with others before they transact. So the opportunity we have is, how do we create one investment and financial inclusion and wellness platform? Because people really are looking for a lot of learning and education in a safe environment. They also wanted to have connectivity to where they might actually transact. And so we create a platform that we really feel helps any institution meet that digital challenge very quickly. So we've taken our platform, which is a client-facing platform as well as an advisor platform, and we've plumbed it into online banking platforms, custodians, which is where all of the trading and record keeping happens on the investment side, and then core platforms. Our mission is really to remove all the friction for any financial institution that works with Marstone. And we're able to actually set up a white labeled instance of our platform in as little as 2 to 4 weeks. And we can do things such as single sign-on and other connectivity. So we've been around, it will actually be 11 years in September, Melissa. And we've been, as they say, in the fire. We've survived a lot of the ups and downs of both what we've dealt with as an economy and as a society. And we're really pleased to be able to take what we previously were doing for the largest institutions in the world and bring it down to partners locally that we're really passionate about and that we feel our platform helps meet their initiatives. So I invite you to maybe, I don't know how you typically do this, if you ask questions during it or if you collect them at the end, but this presentation is really for you all. There are no dumb questions. And I want to pause right here and jump right into it so Ben can show you the entire platform. But again, there are no dumb questions. Finance is a really broad space, and I certainly don't know everything about finance in general. So wealth management has its own nuances. So with that, I invite Ben to bring us through live instances of Marstone. These aren't canned demos, if you will. We're going to show you Marstone out in the wild, if you will, of like where we're working with folks right now. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ben.
Awesome. Thank you, Margaret. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through a couple of instances, excuse me, of the platform. So we're going to walk through the digital investing platform that's live in production with one of our clients, Equity Bank. And then we'll walk you through our financial planning and wellness platform, Maps. So hopefully everyone can see my screen at this point. And so what we're seeing here is an advert on the Equity Bank website, which is one of our clients. They've labeled their platform Simply Invest. And so their members can go down and start to learn a little bit more information before getting started. Once they're ready, they go ahead and get started now, and they're taken to our co-branded platform, which this is a marketing page that the user is directed to. Now, we can offer single sign-on. So if you have wanted a single sign-on integration rather than being presented with the marketing page, they would be taken right into the platform in an authenticated experience. For the sake of Equity Bank, though, they direct their members to this marketing page where the member can scroll down and see some additional views of the platform, as well as get some additional information about the offering itself. You'll notice that we've taken a highly visual approach. So rather than inundating the member with ticker tapes and financial jargon, we've taken more of a lifestyle look and feel approach. So finances, investments can oftentimes be a somewhat intimidating subject matter. So we're trying to put the member at ease and make them feel more comfortable with moving forward in the process by providing a highly visual experience. And you'll notice that this actually follows the member throughout the experience. So when we log in, you'll see more visuals. So you may look at this and think, well, this doesn't look like a financial platform, and that's by design. What we're doing is we're riffing on your Facebooks, your Instagrams, or even on the background of your phone, really anywhere where people have become accustomed to seeing things that they care about. So by selecting the camera icon up in the right-hand corner, the member can bring in images of their latest family vacation, or in this case, their kids being a flower girl and a ring bearer at their aunt's wedding. We find that through this hyper customization, it's driving engagement and creating stickiness with the platform. We go ahead and we will kick off the investment process. So what we've done here is we've taken your standard risk profiling questionnaire and we put the Marstone flavor on it. So as we go through this, you're not going to see financial jargon. You're not going to see any sort of alpha, beta, or standard deviation. But at the same time, we're incorporating some game theory and behavioral finance questions in which there's no right or wrong answer, but by answering them truthfully, it gives us a better view into their underlying risk appetite. We start off with 3 pretty simple questions. So what type of account are you looking to open? How old are you? And then how much are you looking to invest? From there, we'll get into some of these questions and I'll just give you our rationale behind why we're asking some of these. So in this next example, we want to understand the member's natural disposition towards investing. So which of these phrases sums up their general view of investing? We then enable the member to self-assess their risk tolerance. So in their minds, how much investing risk are they comfortable taking? From there, we get into some of the game theory components of the questionnaire. So in this example, the member is planning on investing 20,000 and they must select from 2 potential games. One game where they're locking in an amount of money, the second where they have equal chances of doubling up or remaining even. We know if they take that second option, they're exuding more risk-seeking behavior and more likely willing to take on additional risk. This next question tells us how averse they are to taking any sort of additional risk with these funds, so loss aversion. So in this next question, next couple questions, this tells us how important the portfolio is to their day-to-day life. So if it drops by 10% or 20%, how are they going to react? And you'll notice that not only here, but throughout the platform, we're always calculating out percentages into dollar terms. We find that it's very easy for a member to come into a platform and see a 10 or 20% drop and think, I still have 90%, markets fluctuate, it's fine. But by showing them what that means in dollar terms, we find that it can drive their behavior and ultimately impact the way they answer specific questions. This is an indicator of how active the user is going to be. So during times of market turbulence, are they going to sit back and enjoy the ride, or are they going to want to tinker with their portfolio? Something we've received a lot of positive feedback on is enabling the member to vote with their dollars. So if they come into the platform and they're interested in a clean water or sustainable farming investing option, they can select one of these interests. And what we'll do is we'll take a small portion of their US equity allocation and invest it into an ETF that's friendly to the cause. It is totally optional though. So if they're purely concerned with financial performance, they just select the box at the top and all goodwill goes out the window. Finally, are there any liquidity concerns we should be aware of over the next several years? And at the end of this process, they are presented with this, which is a fully diversified ETF portfolio. Now, like much of the platform, we've designed it to be highly interactive. So if the member is more interested in the pretty colors and colorful graphics, they can select that box to the left. And you'll notice that the asset class with the description will expand on the right. So the idea here is that through clicking and playing, the members unwittingly educating themselves about the various asset classes they would hold should they choose to move forward. Down below, we offer a summary section, which includes a description of the portfolio, as well as the benefits and drawbacks. So we're always trying to be good stewards to the member. So that's why we include any sort of potential pitfalls of this portfolio. I'm happy to take questions along the way. If there's any questions here, I can pause before I hop into account opening. Okay, so at this point, we've inspired the member to open up an account, and so they can select invest in this portfolio, and they're taken to our fully paperless online account enrollment process. Now, what we've done here is we've taken your standard account opening application, which generally is anywhere between 18 and 25 pages, and we whittled it down to the required fields. The member goes through this process, and in a matter of minutes, they're presented with all the information they've entered into our front end. They confirm that it is accurate, and they consent to open up the account. Once they do that, all of this information flows through systematically into the custodial platform, and the account is ready to be approved and opened. So once again, in a matter of minutes, the member's gone through, they've selected an appropriate portfolio, they've submitted their account opening instructions, and the account is now ready to be funded. We would typically automatically transition them over to initiate the funding instructions. Now, I'm not going to submit this because it would actually open up an account, so I'll manually navigate over to our funding module and talk you through our process. What we've done here is we're enabling the member to initiate ACH instructions, so essentially linking their banking or credit union account with their newly created investment account. And once they create that initial link, they can transfer money in or out all systematically via the platform. Once they, if they had an old 401k or old brokerage account that they wanted to move over into their newly created investment account, they could also initiate an ACAT through the platform as well. So the account has now been opened, it's been funded, it's been invested, and they can now come back into their dashboard and start to see views of performance. Now, within our dashboard, you'll see as we scroll down, we also offer account aggregation, so the member can bring in their external accounts, so their checking, savings, mortgages, investments, and really get a holistic view of their financial picture all in one place within their dashboard. Up above, you can see examples of investment accounts that have been opened up through the platform, and we've continued with that visual motif. So rather than asking the member what their investor policy statement is, which oftentimes leads to a blank stare, instead we ask, what goal do you have in mind for this account? Or what are these funds going to be used to purchase at some point in the future? And they can clearly articulate that, and it's highly emotive. So with that in mind, they can update the image to be more representative of the goal, and they can nickname the account as well. So in this case, you can see my Double Trouble account with my kids' images attached to the goal. And that will follow the member throughout the experience. So as you click into your account, you see the visuals off to the left, as well as the account details off to the right. Down below, you can see some balances over time. And so we start getting into some of our performance reporting. We have our asset allocation cube that follows the member throughout the experience. So they can click through in the various asset classes and see the description and kind of what they're holding within their investment portfolio. Scrolling even further down, you can see your benchmark analysis. So you can see how you're doing versus various indices, as well as the individual securities that make up your account performance. If the member had multiple accounts open and wanted to see everything at a household level, they can simply select the drop-down box, select My Combined Accounts, and they'd be able to see their performance at a household level as well. So that is the investment portfolio, the investment platform. I'll pause there and just see if there are any questions before we move on to our goals-based planning solution maps.
Yeah, and just as I wanted to highlight, those are actually all pictures of Ben's kids, and he's doing the actual nicknaming and placing the pictures. And we find little things like that, the hyper personalization really draws and drives a lot of engagement. It also, people check in, they like to actually see things that are familiar. And as Ben said, because people will nickname the account and place a picture, that's the way that they're sort of thinking like about their purpose and the time horizon of what they want to do. And we actually find that it drives greater activity, and in many cases, actually saving or investing depending on the account type. We're going to show you next our goal-based tracking platform, and this is something that we're incredibly proud about. We believe that not everyone is ready to actually be investing, but we find that almost all people need help getting their financial house in order. When I was a financial advisor from 2001 through 2012, so during the highs and lows of the markets, I used to sit with folks and help them think about all the things they wanted to do, all the things they wanted to avoid. And then they would realize that they probably had to start planning and thinking about doing these things all at the same time. Most people would feel kind of overwhelmed about doing that. And so I was inspired to find a metaphor to help people think about savings and planning. And I was inspired by the Boston Tea or the New York subway map. So just as in travel, there are many places you can get on and off. So there is in life. And when we thought about why do people actually invest and save, we thought, it's really Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's food, shelter, security, and then bits of aspiration and whimsy. As human beings, we care about our health, our loved ones, our pets, and some hobbies. That's true of all people. So whether you're super rich or you're just starting out, those are the things that really drive people. And how we complicate our lives with expensive car payments or mortgages and whatnot, that's our own doing. So we created what we call MAPS, and it's an interactive goal-based planning platform that enables people to drag and drop different goals into their map. And it actually sets an interactive timeline. You can move different goals back and forth. And what it's doing is it's really sort of marrying that idea of Pinterest, like all the things I want to, save and think about, as well as shopping cart. And you might think of this as almost an interactive Dr. Seuss's All the Places I Could Go in Life, where you could think about planning for different goals, maybe buying a house, maybe buying a second house, taking a sabbatical. And behind the scenes, we're doing all the math for you. This instance of MAPS is currently with a bank down in Southern California. We're really excited to bring it to the credit union space because we believe that it really is an incredible marketing tool. It's an incredible engagement tool. And as you will see, it's really a total member solution, whether or not someone actually opens up an investment account, because many of the goals that one plans for on MAPS will actually drive to core services of the credit union, whether it's lending activities, emergency accounts, loans, what have you. So this is really a total member solution that gets a lot of data about an individual member. You'll see that the member is actually plotting what they want to do, when they want to do it. And as a consequence, we're really figuring out a lot about not only the behavioral finance of different members, but actually their values and their time horizons. So the ability to then market very directly by the credit union to their member, to have very personalized offerings to each member, is really something that I don't think any other platform has really been able to deliver to date. So with that, I will turn it over to Ben.
Thank you, Margaret. So as Margaret mentioned, what we're going to be doing is walking through a live instance, this time of Marstone Maps. And so what you're seeing here is the landing page, which can be accessed either from within the digital investing platform, so kind of like an ecosystem, or alternatively, it can be a standalone solution and act as a gateway for a member to initiate a new relationship with the credit union. So the homepage is designed to provide the user with a preview of the solution. So we can scroll down and see that the member is presented with examples of goals that they can include as part of their map. So we're trying to get the creative juices flowing and put the member in a mindset of thinking about what is possible, not just your traditional buy a home and retire. Now, at each step along the way, we're offering calls to action. So they may think, you know what, I haven't visited my family in a while, or perhaps I want to buy my kid a car, and decide that they want to offer, add that to their map, and we're encouraging them to take that action. Scrolling even further down, we show an example of what the savings plan will look like. So the member will be able to see how much they need to save per month to achieve everything they're setting out to do on their map. At this point, we've piqued the members' interest, and so they can start to explore the various goals. So we believe there are a few big bangs in life that people save and plan for. So whether it is buying that first home or planning a celebration or even traveling the world, most people across the wealth spectrum are focused on pretty similar goals, but perhaps with different monetary values. So we started off with several goals that you can see at the top, and then we've taken an Airbnb-like approach where the member is presented with potential ideas under each goal. So we started off under the housing tab. We see options for saving for that lake home, or perhaps a less traditional option like a houseboat. And this is going to be a similar experience for each of the goals at the top. So as the member continues to explore and starts to prioritize what's important for the map, they can click on each goal, and they're going to be presented with a series of ideas for their future. So as we all know, we are in full beach season up here in New England, and I've I've been putting it off for a while and decided that maybe it's time for me to start saving and planning for that beach house. So I can go ahead and add the beach house to my map. And you'll see that it's going to take me to a series of questions that are going to help determine my savings goals. So up at the top, we can nickname the account. So we'll get super creative and call it my Rhode Island Beach House. Down below, how much am I looking to purchase this house for? So we can say it's going to be a little bit on the smaller side. So we'll say 250,000. How much of that listing price am I looking to put down? So I can either enter that amount in the input box, or we can use the slider bar to do the heavy math for me. When do I want to reach this goal? Well, ideally, I'd like to do it while my kids still want to go to the beach with their dad. So we'll shoot for 5 years from now. And then how much do I have saved up? You can say I've been squirreling away and I have about $5,000 saved up. You'll notice that once we input this information, there's an education box underneath that's informing the member how much they're going to have to save over the next 5 years to reach this goal. So in this case, I need to be putting aside about $320 per month in order to be beach bound. I may look at this and decide maybe I can afford a bigger house, or perhaps I want to put more down. And I can change the variables and get an updated estimate in real time. So the idea here is that it's enabling the user to better understand the impact of each variable and start to analyze trade-offs as they go. Now, one of the many benefits to both the credit union and the members is this ability to introduce other products and services that are available that can help them achieve their goals. So you see this option of show me how to get there. And when the member selects it, you'll see that they are presented with the option of me opening up an Amerant savings account, or perhaps they have a longer time horizon and it makes sense to open up an investment account. We present additional information about each option so the member can determine which is a more appropriate path given their needs. Obviously, this is tailored to each financial institution, so it could be driving to the credit union specific savings and investment options. Another cool thing I always like to point out is say that I've decided that I've been pushing this out for way too long. It's time for me to just buy it. So I'm going to shoot to buy it towards the end of this summer. You'll notice that when I shorten my time frame, I'm now presented with an option of meeting with a mortgage specialist to help me through the process. So this is providing the credit union with yet another unique cross-selling opportunity, but not in a predatory way. Rather, it's a valuable service to the member by meeting them where they are on their home buying journey. I will say it's probably a little aggressive for me, so I'm probably not going to be buying it at the end of the summer, so I'll push it back a few years. Last thing I always like to point out here is that we're, once again, we're always trying to be good stewards to the members. So along the way, we're incorporating pieces of educational content that helps inform them. So down below, you can see some custom content that we created that informs the user about the benefit of putting more, a higher down payment towards the mortgage. If they want to learn more, they can select the arrow. If not, they can save and continue building out their map. So we've now added our house goal to the map, and above my map, I can see some other goals that if I want, I can drag and drop down onto my timeline. On my timeline, I've already started saving for a couple other goals. So I have my retirement goal as well as my 50th birthday celebration. And if I want to see the details of either or make changes, I can simply click into the goal. We can scroll down and we can see each of these goals represented in a baseball card view. We can start to link our external accounts to these goals by clicking the link account button. And this is essentially going to start assigning funds to the goals so we can start tracking our progress towards meeting them. If I want, I can click into my goal and say I have a custom image of or a picture of that dream beach house. I can upload it here and really start to make the emotional connection with the goal. Once again, we can edit the inputs. So if I decide I want to push out my house purchase because of higher interest rates, we can do so here, and it's automatically going to reflect on my map as well as my savings plan. Scrolling down even further, we can see a full financial snapshot of my savings goals. So for the 3 goals I put on my map, I see I need to save about $3,800 per month, and I can see how those are being allocated across each goal. Now I'm looking at this and my anxiety levels are spiking a little bit, and I'm thinking perhaps I should do something to try and bring that savings target down a little bit. But it's naturally leading the user to start thinking about trade-offs and prioritizing what's important. So I can go back up to my map and start playing with different scenarios that will enable me to achieve everything I want on my map, but in a timeline that I'm comfortable with. So perhaps retiring at 59 just isn't in the cards for me. So let's see what happens if I pull my retirement goal out a few years. So rather than retiring at 59, let's see what happens if I retire at 65. So we can go ahead and we'll save this change, and we can scroll down to our savings plan and see if this had the desired impact on my plan. So by pushing out my retirement about 6 years, I see that I now am at a more realistic target of 2,600. But once again, it is enabling the user to start playing with different scenarios in order and helping them determine a savings plan that they're comfortable with and a timeline that they're also comfortable with. So I'll pause there. That's maps in a nutshell. I'm certainly happy to take any questions here. I think I think Melissa, in terms of our presentation, I think that's probably the I'd say the meat and potatoes of it.
Excellent. Excellent. Any questions from the group? If not, Ben and Margaret, I have a few. I always have questions. So,
Perfect.
in terms of working with credit unions, now I know you've got plenty of experience working with banks and obviously in this space. Is there a what's the term I'm looking for? Is there like a sweet spot that you guys are looking for in terms of size of a credit union's number of members, you know, kind of where they are in terms of the products and services that they offer?
So I can take that. So the beauty of our platform is that we've designed it to be highly scalable, so that we can work with the largest of institutions and bring it all the way down to smaller institutions. So I think what we've seen historically is that the larger institutions tend to be the early adopters of it. But that's not to say that we cannot work with
Sure.
smaller credit unions. So to date, our credit unions partners have been in the 500 million in assets or
Okay.
above.
Yep.
But once again, the technology is scalable so that we can then bring it down to a smaller credit union.
Great. And I know that is one of the things that I spoke to Chris about when we first met, when I first heard about Marstone, is a lot of the fintechs I'm seeing now are starting to evolve or figuring out how to scale in ways to service the smaller credit unions, which is a great trend. I mean, even if we look at 10 years ago, even the larger credit unions were not open, I should say, as to working with fintechs, and that impression and the direction and the willingness to collaborate and the need to collaborate has really evolved pretty dramatically. So I think a logical next step is definitely more of that small credit union interaction, which is great. You know, one more thing that I will just bring up, and just kind of looking for your thoughts and feedback from the industry. You know, there's a lot of fintechs out there, and there are fintechs that do everything from wealth management, financial education, you know, but all the way down to, you know, optimization of workflows and using data to identify a target market, and kind of all across the map. But one very recent, you know, explosion or growth I see is the emergence of platforms, not necessarily like yours, but focused on financial wellness, financial education, engaging the different generations around this. Is that that kind of spike, I would say, in that focus makes us think that it's something credit unions should be thinking about, maybe even more than they're starting to, just based on the great wealth transfer that's coming, and the aging primary demographic for credit unions. And it seems like your solution, among others, of course, is really kind of addresses that sweet spot.
No, I think that's a really astute point. So as you said, in the last 18 months, we've seen an emergence of a lot of really content-driven platforms that are really focusing on, like you said, education, did you know? And for the sake of this demonstration, we didn't include our new platform called Atlas, which is really just all content and driven that can be wedged in either as a standalone platform, or it can be part of the overall ecosystem. So that tool is really driven to address helping people think about what all their, first of all, learn what all their options are at different milestones. So maybe they want to get married or adopt a child or plan for different things. So it has everything from checklists and incorporates a lot of learning modules in concert with the Maps planning tool. So that's, I would say, Maps and all of the content rich information, that is our area of focus probably for the foreseeable future. And then all of the kind of tools that we can give credit unions to help analyze that data, and then, like I said, make really meaningful either did you know follow-ups or helpful messaging that might include offers, whether it's loans or meet with the counselor or things of that nature. So you're exactly right. That's a really important part of the industry and improvement. What we like is that we are a full platform that includes both the investment, the goal-based planning, and the content. And it doesn't have to be a standalone feature. It could be if someone, so when you ask the question, are there any credit unions with whom you wouldn't be a fit or for whom you wouldn't be a fit? I would say we have something for every credit union. Maybe not all credit unions want to offer investments, but they do want to offer planning and wellness and other modules. I'd also say that we're also bilingual. So we offer Spanish, which is becoming increasingly important offering for a very important and growing demographic.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you both for your time and for sharing this. And those of us on the call, I think we can look forward to hearing more from Marstone in the coming months and years.